Good evening. We are here on the moon. Thank you for joining PRT. I am your host, Josh Turner. Oh, good evening. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and as I promised, we are on the moon. See the moon? And my moon dog. And, yes, I'm your host.
Oh, there you go, folks. I'm back. Whew, it's hot in those rhinos. Oh, man. Let me tell you. As I promised, we're on the moon. This is as real as it gets. You can see the moon. Well, take my word for it. It's up there. And, yeah, this is the background of the moon. We're doing the show on the moon. I know there's white stuff right there. Ignore that. It's all legit. Everything from NASA is completely legit. All the pictures, everything. Talking on the phone, like a dial-up phone to Houston. It was all perfectly legit. No reason to worry about that. Ignore all the other stuff that you thought was whatever. Okay? All of it really happened. Everything they put out is completely legit. I went to NASA as a kid on a tour. Got to go backstage, as you will. And figured out that it's all legit. Everything is real. Absolutely. We're just messing around. That was Nelly. Nelly with apparently all the animals are in the studio today. They're hanging out up here. Where's Panzer at? Where's the toilet drinker? Anyways, folks, we have a show for you tonight. Like always, we're here in the studio doing what we do, having a good time. I had told you guys at one point that I was going to go around Austin and video all of the homeless people that were living under the bridges and everything else. And then literally, like a week later, they started to, man, this cat, look, you remember little Panzer? Look at him. Look how big he is now. Look at this. He is a giant. Look at this big old cat. You're going to try and drink out of the toilet. What are you trying to drink out of the toilet? But anyways, they have actually moved them out now. I don't know exactly where they're at, but they're no longer under the overpasses and everything else. So, you want to get down? Yes, you're a good boy. I'm not going to let you kiss me though. You're drinking out of the toilet earlier. Luckily, my brother had cleaned it. Boy. So we have the ferrets in the studio. My brother took them on a little field trip today. Hello, Elvira. Elvira's in here. Where's Martis? So anyways, we have all of the little Panzer, his little friends are all here in the studio. And they're running around, hitting my feet and doing all kinds of stuff. Russ Harmon, thank you for that donation. I saw a few others in there that people had donated while the chat room was filling up. I got a special treat for you. We're going to do Halloween Continued tonight. Okay? And what I mean by that is I left meat on the bone big time. I didn't get to finish. And we went like 3 hours on Halloween night. And Nick and Barton were tired and they had to go. And we did our 3 hours and there's still some pretty scary stories on there. So I thought, you know what? I was going to have some people call in tonight and I'm going to do that next week. Next week, we're going to interview a woman who wrote a book about her experiences and terrifying experiences in a haunted house. And we're going to get some other people on and talk and whatever. But tonight we're going to it's just going to be us and we're going to finish Halloween from the moon. Because I've been saying for a while that we were going to go on the moon. I welcome all you, my fans and friends and my enemies who continue to watch my show and just so they can troll me. You ever heard that song Dre Day? You know, you only met Easy's payday. That's what you're doing. You're only meeting my payday. You're giving me views. You watch the whole show so you can talk trash, but you're actually giving me views. So I appreciate that. Thank you for hating me, because hating me because you ain't me is actually giving us ratings and boosts and whatever. So that's what's going on. Let me get my glasses on, folks. We did a deep clean today on the studio, and my brother brought the pets out and let them run around and have fun. Charlie is making me a gugwee. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm going to announce the winners of the Halloween costume contest once we get just a few more people in here. I remember, first place, $100, second place, $50, third place, $25, and then everybody got a little, whatever. I need you to do me a favor, guys, okay? Please send me this. You can send it to me through email, but my email is, we are, as we speak, I have somebody right now at my house clearing out my email, trying to get to it, trying to answer it. He's trying to do what he can to try to get to, and he's been doing it for hours, trying to get the email, just get to the stories, man. I mean, just categorizing them, doing everything we can to try to get that so we can get all the stories out of the spam too. Like a lot of stuff went to spam, and I can't get to it from my phone. For some reason, I can get to the regular email, but not through the. And then it goes back to the dotswolfman88@gmail.com. That old email address had a bunch of them in there, and then I got to try to get Sal's email. I got to talk to his wife, see if she's willing to go through and see what emails he had, so nobody gets left out. The late Armando Salazar, my first co-host, who passed away from COVID about a week before Johnny died. So Johnny Henderson took a lot of good people from me, from us, from all of us. So Sheila Noel won third place, okay, for her own costume. She was chosen. I didn't make the choice. It was a team effort. So everybody took turns choosing. Well, here's what happened. We had two sets of people choosing. So we ended up with two first places, two second places, and two third places. It happens, okay? It happens. And so I was supposed to sit there and decide to break the tie. I couldn't do it. So what I did was, Sheila, you won third place, okay? And so did Tanya LaRose. She had submitted her costume of her as Fiona from Shrek, I believe. Is it Fiona? Anyways, she submitted her costume way early, and she got chosen for third place too. So we got two third place winners, and we awarded them accordingly. Paul, and I want to make sure I say your name correctly. He won first place. Paul De Philippis, or Philippis. I'm hoping I'm saying you're not messing your name up. And I don't know if that's Greek or Hispanic or what it is. But your name is De Philippis. And you won with your little cat. Got a lot of likes, so you won first place. Brian Taylor, you also won first place. So y'all were tied for first, and you each got $100. Then Tristan Arrowwood, you came in second place. He had made a costume for his son in the wheelchair, and I thought it was very interesting that he made a little truck costume for him, and that was pretty cool. It touched my heart. I like that. And so, how can you not, So Tristan won, and then Debbie Wolf. Debbie Wolf dressed up her dog in two different outfits, and the one of them she dressed up as the pimp, and I was like, thought that was pretty funny. They were pretty cool outfits. So she came in second place. Debbie Wolf's been a supporter of the show and been a part of the show for a long, long time. A friend of ours. So I was proud to award her with second place. Also, so we had 6 winners. Also, the winner of the Friday giveaway from the Vampire Show was Jeff Alley. So Jeff, your stuff was sent out yesterday, and all you from the Halloween costume contest was sent out today. Everyone that won from the chat on Halloween, you all got the lamps. Okay, you guys, congratulations. There was 4 of you. And those were all announced the night of Halloween. So here's what we got going on. I need everyone to say prayers for John Sablon. He's a supporter of the show. He's been a friend of ours for a long, long time. And his mother had a stroke. So please keep him in your prayers. I lost my mother back in May. It's still eating at me. Also, I need to talk to you about something serious, folks. I'm not joking around right now. My wife is going in for a surgery. She actually didn't even want me to talk about it because she didn't want people to, it's something that's been needing to be done for a while. So she's having surgery on the 9th of this month, and I'm nervous. I think she's more brave than me. I'm just, please, if you could, you find it in your heart to pray for her. I just don't want anything to happen to my wife. She's done a lot in my life to help me change, to be a better person. I would still be the angry, violent human being I was. Without her, God put her in my life for a reason. So please pray for her, that her surgery goes well, please. My wife she means a lot to me and to the show. Without her, my brother and Anthony and Tony, Scorp, everybody that does this, we would be dead in the water. This is a team effort, folks. PRT is not Josh Turner. PRT is our team, and the other people that help do the things for the show too. Somebody go get Scorp and tell him to get in here so he can moderate. Getting everybody set up here. Thank you to all the new Patreon supporters. I feel pretty good. I buried the hatchet with somebody today. It's always a good thing to do. Had nothing to do with paranormal or the show or anything like that. It was just another fighter, and I was like, just wanted to beat him up because there was a lot of trash talk going on back and forth, and we just decided to talk it out. And he's in his camp, and I'm in mine, and he train his people, and I'll train mine, and we'll go our separate ways. So I apologize to you, sir, and wish you well. Good luck to you personally, and may your school fail. I'm just kidding. May you both fail. Just kidding once again. My wife's over here giving me the look. The look. She's looking at me. I wish you well. And you have a nice family. I like your mom, and I like your brother, and your cousins. Everybody, they're all cool. Sorry to me and you had to go down that road, but we're alpha males, and we fight. And I don't want to talk about you going, oh, hey, well, I'm talking about going and bam, bam, that's what we do. And sometimes things get a little carried away. You know what I'm saying? I'm bred for that. I live by the feud, and, I think real men deal with things differently. You know what I mean? I try to not do that, but it's just part of who I am. I'm sorry, man. Take the good with the bad, folks. I do love all of you guys. I love everybody. In fact, I love even my enemies. I love to see them bleed. But that's the thing, I really, 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 really was just beside myself that I didn't get to finish my Halloween stories. You can ask my wife, right, honey? And I was like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish them. I'm going to finish my stories, man. Barton and Nick are weak. They're weak individuals, and they were like, they're like wilting trees in the Texas summer heat. I had to cut them loose. Had to let them go. They're like, we're tired. And I was like, fine. Be gone. I'm just kidding. I love Barton and Nick. Nick and Barton are my buddies, man. They're my home dogs. They're my allies. My boys. I love both of them. I can't wait till Christmas to give them the best gift I could possibly give them. Merry Christmas, because I'm broke from building a house. And I already said it now, so I ain't going to say it later. You're welcome, by the way. On my list, however, you could send me thousands of dollars so I could help with my supplies and things like that. Overhead costs a lot to build a house. But I'll let you get to that. Thank you, guys. I'm just kidding, folks. You think the giveaways were good at Halloween. You wait till Christmas when we don't give you anything. So let's do the Patreon supporters real quick, and then let's get into these stories, guys. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do it up. Let's do it big. Here we go. Polly G. New. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for being a Patreon supporter. Melissa Koyman, thank you for being a Patreon supporter. Pauline Rome, thank you for being a Patreon supporter. Joanne L. Hartnett, thank you for being a Patreon supporter. You and Leighton, thank you for being a Patreon supporter. Mary Plyler, thank you for being a Patreon supporter. Stephen Hall, Miguel Guetta, Tommy Egan, thank you for being a Patreon supporters. Eric Garcia, and Ryan, I don't know which what your full name is, Ryan. I know it's not Ryan Tremblay. It says R. Witt. But thank you for being a Patreon supporter, and you are eligible for a one of the bags. Now, the bags did come in. So I did send yours off, Debbie Wolf, if you're listening, along with your prize from the Halloween contest. But I left something out. I was going to send you a coffee mug, so I still have to do that. So you might get two different packages. Super Hornet 1, you're eligible too. So I know that a couple of you have sent me your information. James Estrada and Debbie Wolf are the only ones I've sent out so far with the Patreon. Everybody else needs to send me their information. Okay, send it to me, and I will first come, first serve, and I will send it out. I have 20 of the gift bags available. So if you miss the first 20, you have to wait, okay, until probably the end of the year when I do the next giveaway for this, okay? So it'll be around Christmas time. Extreme Reality Check, Super Hornet 1, Debbie Wolf, Histotech, thank you. James Estrada, Tim Bernard, Ricardo Herrera, Barry, Chronological, Dead Man Walking, Guy, Melissa Panay. Oh, Melissa Panay, I know I owe you too. I owe you too. That's you got some stuff coming from me. Derek Tribble, Andrea Krask, Joyce Brunette, Barbara Blindy. Melissa, message me again and remind me. Plus, I want to do a set with Kevin, so I haven't forgotten about that. He's got some interesting stuff about Hawaii. Martin Hertel, Terry Fusler, and Martin, I believe I was about to send yours off, and like I said, once again with like Debbie, you and Melissa, I didn't have the coffee mugs with me. Now, if you're listening to this and you would like something besides a coffee mug, you can just send me a message and I'll just be like, too bad you're getting the coffee mug. Anyway, Terry Fusler, Mega Clough, the super fluffy trucker, and he keeps changing his name. Curtis Turner. Curtis, hit me up. You got a bag coming. Philip Morn, Alexander Murphy, Matthew Durgo, Chris Smith, and Ralph Ayu. And I'm just going to go ahead and text right now to my beautiful wife and let her know the ones that I already know that I missed today because I forgot the freaking mugs. So we got Martin. Put your name in here right now, Martin, so I can get this to you. Don't hurt me, Martin. Okay. And Curtis. These would have been great bags to give away for Halloween as treats, for Halloween treats, but we missed the boat on that. And Melissa. Okay. I'll be sending your stuff out tomorrow, and then Debbie, I'll try to get yours down too. And I got to send the package out to my good dear friend David Weatherly, his action figure. I sent out Nick. I sent out Nick's yesterday, Nick Redfern. He was really stoked. So I got to send yours out, my brother, to David Weatherly. And David and Nick are going to come on the show at some point. We're going to do a show together. We're just so busy. I couldn't even coordinate it right now. I'm so busy. For everybody out there that's listening, this is not an arrogant statement. I'm not trying to look like a big shot at all. I'm just being honest. I'm very, very busy. If you are someone who I've corresponded with and you have a podcast or you're an author, like Kenny Irish, I desperately want to get you on the show. Albert Rosales, Chad Lewis, you all are, Steve Stockton. I want you on. I just trust me. Lauren Coleman, I'm supposed to record them at the end of the month. I've just been very busy. I've just been very, very busy, and I don't want to disrespect any one of you people. Was going to try and record with Lon Strickler again. I'm going to be on his show this month because Lon's an old friend of mine, and so but I don't want to leave anybody out. There's nobody that I care about more than anybody else. I'm not playing favorites, anything like that. There were a couple people who wanted me on their show for October. I just couldn't do it. I'm so sorry. I really, I'm looking you in the eyes and the camera. I'm very sorry. I am so sorry. It was nothing personal, nothing at all. Ryan's in the chat room. What's up, Ryan? Me and Ryan are good. Ryan, we're going to do the Wendigo, I believe, and he's finally got his computer up and set and ready to go. So we're going to do that. We're going to record that. Maybe tomorrow or the next day we're going to get on that. And Tony and me are going to get together eventually, and we're going to do the Black Panther people one. We got a lot to do. Okay, folks, just hang in there. You're going to get so much material and so many stories from so many different people. It's going to blow your mind. I'm also trying to set something up with Shannon LeGros. So, just be patient, everybody. There's a lot of people out there who I'm going to have on the show. We're going to work together. A bunch of people I already have worked together with, and we've recorded, and they're like, hey, where's my show? Just haven't dropped it yet. It's a process. We have, I record like a month in advance right now. And so that's what's happening. So we got about 200 people in the chat room. What we're going to do right now, we're going to tell some stories. Nellie the astronaut. How was it in space, Nellie? See, I had to have her go out of the ship to float around and do repair stuff. Don't worry about what it was. It was repair stuff. So let me tell you something. My wife is so sweet. She was so worried about Martis being in outer space today that she made me have a phone call with him. Which aggravates me because every time I call him, it's always a one-sided conversation because it's a cat, dude. It's a cat. So, of course, it's a one-sided conversation. It's not going to be some deep intellectual bonding conversation. So I told her, I was like, I don't really like talking to a cat. I feel weird. I feel silly talking to a cat. Who wouldn't, right? And it's always a one-sided conversation. It's always like, for my part, bring, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Martis? Yeah, but, yeah. Well, no, I did. See, that's the problem, Martis. You want to let me... Okay. All right. Well, no, you did do that. You tore up the sheets, Martis. You gonna pretend like you didn't do that? You gonna pretend like you didn't scrap? Okay, I gotta go. You know what? You're always talking over me. Click. That's the whole conversation right there. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, folks. This is what I gotta go through with my own pets. In my own house. Or space station. Oh no, I just got really bad news about somebody. Come here, buddy. There he is. You gonna talk? You gonna say something? Say hi. Where's your little maracas at? Where your little maracas at? Look, he's looking over at Panzer. He wants to go play. When we first got him, Panzer was like, every time he saw him, he was like doing kung fu at him. And then, now they're like best friends. Like you can't get them apart. If one of them's in the other side of the door, you see their paws going through the door, and you got to let them out. So here we go. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you, the audience, the option here, okay? I see a lot of comments here. Somebody says, I have 8 cats and 4 dogs and 4 horses. Imagine the conversations. Probably all one-sided, too. They don't let you speak. So here we go. We talked about New Braunfels dog man. We talked about the Arkansas man who was dragged away by a Bigfoot. crazy story. The Oregon, the guy that was face palmed by the Bigfoot. We talked about the guy that was in the Mexican prison, and then there was a vampire in upstate New York, which we did on the last Friday's show on the Vampire Show. If you haven't seen the Vampire Show or listened to it, you got to check it out. We talked about the giant spider in Costa Rica. We didn't talk about. We talked about the little girl with the toys in the attic. We didn't talk about the grandma's shadow. This is a weird one. We also have Dogman that was at a Houston construction site and a haunting in a chocolate factory in Belgium. So you, the listeners, I'm going to let the next 15, 20 people decide where we're going with this. Y'all let me know what you want to hear. Because tonight's show is just going to be me telling those stories and then keep it in the comment section. Ta-ta. That's it. So whatever you want to hear. Somebody says any Catman stories. David G, we're about to do a whole show on that. That'll be coming out right after we drop the set with Jason Bland. But also I need to know, who do you want to hear next? Paul Wallace, Jason Bland, or Jody Cook? I have those three on the hook that I've already done shows with. And, you let me know. Somebody said Grandma. The Grandma Shadow is a pretty creepy one. It really is. Belgium, Dogman, Chocolate, Black-Eyed Kids. What the heck are you talking about? Every time I said David Wedley, somebody has said Black-Eyed Kids. He's so tired of being called the Black-Eyed Kids guy. Right, honey? He was telling me on the phone the other day, he's like, I'm more than the Black-Eyed Kids guy, all right? I'm like, I believe you. You've done a huge body of work, and all people want to talk about is Black-Eyed Kids. The drug dealer Dogman, yeah, I'm not ready to do that one yet. I still got a little more, because it started out as an urban legend. Now I'm finding out that it may have been real. Yeah, last Starfighter born in East LA says being a werewolf sent to a P.O. box. Email didn't go through. The email didn't go through. Get on Facebook and hit me up on Facebook. It's the best way to do it, man. The emails are weird. The emails will shoot you over to spam, and I'm literally had to have somebody. He's going through my emails, trying to track down all these spam ones that went awry for the last 2 years. So it's ridiculous, man. I had to have a friend help me out with that. Angela Pelegi, ain't afraid of no ghosts except for zombie ghosts. So we got some of those. Paul Wallace. I'll tell you what, Scorpion. I don't know if D's in the chat, but if you guys are in the chat, James Estrada, you moderators, by the end of the show, let me know what we're doing, who we're going to drop. If it's going to be Jason Bland and he's got like shadow people stuff and alien abduction. Jody Cook is Dogman Bigfoot. Paul Wallace is about the translations of the Bible and the fallen angels, and it's a bunch of really good stuff in there. I still got to say something, though, before we get started. Why is everybody ignoring the part twos? You're still doing that. Like, if you go to the part 3 with Barton Nunley, it got like a few thousand less views than the first one. But he was still talking and saying a lot of very, very valuable information. And I just can't understand how the second and third parts don't get the press that the first, 1 or 2 do. I'm sorry, Pelegi. Is it Angela? I thought it was Angela Pelegi. You said I said your name wrong again. Ryan, he says Jody. Somebody said Fudge Factory. Why would you say Fudge Factory? I didn't say it was a fudge factory, so it was a chocolate factory. Fudge is not necessarily chocolate. You can get fudge that's not even made from chocolate. And I'm just picking on you. It don't matter. Somebody says, I'm backing Paul. That's James Estrada. Yeah. Gary says Paul. Yeah, a lot of people are choosing Paul. Yeah, we'll see. Pelegi. I could have swore you told me Pelegi the other day. Last Starfighter, you said you saw a small humanoid near Texarkana many years ago. Let me tell you something. That is not rare. Texarkana is known for 3 things: little people, Bigfoot, and then they had there's a movie about it. There was a serial killer. They killed a bunch of people there. It was called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. It was very weird. It was a very weird thing. I'm putting my shoes on. My feet are cold. Being up in space, man, it's hard. Yeah. When you're freezing up in space, nobody can hear your teeth chatter. Says, what about having a personal ghost that helps me in life? You know what? I'm not even gonna touch that one. That's a lot of people. That's a controversial thing that people have told me many times, and I try not to go there. It's a controversial subject. It really is. All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to get into all three of these, but we're going to start with the grandma's shadow. That's what we'll do. This story was given to me by a girl who lives in Maine. She's from Maine. I was trying to remember what state it was. Or is it Massachusetts? I think it was Maine. Anyway, I have to go look at my notes, but I know this story. This girl had a crazy story. When her grandmother had cancer and she was dying, and she started taking care of her. Well, one of the things that her grandmother started telling her was that she was having bad dreams, nightmares, and when she would have these nightmares, something would crawl on top of her and choke her. And the way it would choke her is like it would put its like forearm on her throat and she couldn't breathe. She felt like she couldn't breathe. Now, the medication that they had her on, there was all kinds of stuff she was taking, and it was a miracle from what this person read to me, the list of medication, stuff that I couldn't even pronounce. You know, it was like surprising that this elderly woman could even, you know, no wonder she was having bad dreams. I mean, the medication was like, you know, one to wake up, one to go to sleep, you know, everything. It seemed like it was awful from what she was telling me. Now, here's the thing. With this person basically needing to go to hospice at one point, she was like to the point where it was going to happen. It was inevitable. She was going to pass away. She had stage 4 cancer that was in her lungs. It got into everything. It was all over. And she started to complain that her shadow was attacking her. Okay. Her own shadow. Not like a shadow person coming out of the closet and doing stuff. That when she would sit up during the day, and this would happen during the day or at night when she would turn the light on, her shadow that would sit up with her would literally begin to move around on its own, take a life of its own, and attack her. Always trying to choke her. And she complained about this to her daughter and her granddaughter. From what I understand, the daughter wasn't a very caring, very sympathetic person. Was like, oh, my life, I'm so busy, blah, 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 and wasn't really there for her like she should have been. And then the granddaughter was she was 19, going on 20. And she kind of took over the chores of taking care of this person. And and it became a burden. I mean, it was a burden for her. You know, she was a 20-year-old who had to pretty much forgo life, a 19, 20-year-old, and just deal with months and months of agony of dealing with her grandmother. But she was very adamant that she didn't, she wasn't resentful about it. She just did it. And from what I'm the one that's saying it had to have been a burden, you know. And I know that her grandmother, from what she's told me, felt horrible about having to put that on her, you know. But she's a very nice person to go through what she did, and having to forego being a young person at that age, you know, and wanting to go and do things. When I was that age. And this has nothing to do with the story, and I'm not going to go into a long dissertation, but I didn't really have a very wonderful life. It was all about work, and then I was doing stuff that was, you know, required me to be gone. And so my life was I didn't get to go out and have fun, and, you know, and then for years I worked downtown in an entertainment area, but I never really had the entertainment. It was just me watching other people be entertained. I never had people to basically help me, take care of me, and let me just live. You know what I mean? I had to always work. I've never had that option. So I felt bad, for her. I said, I understand what it's like to be that age and not really get to enjoy your youth. And I didn't really get to enjoy my youth like a lot of people do. But because I was always trying to have to make a living to try to survive, so her grandmother was constantly apologizing to her about her predicament. And it was like she felt guilty that she had got cancer and that she was kind of like forcing her children to have to deal with it. She did have a son, and he helped pay for everything, the cancer treatment and all that. He would come and he would check on her. But this young lady's mother was just kind of like not there, not available, and it was, and then she had a brother who had a drug problem, this young lady. And he was of no use to anybody for anything. And he even came over while the grandmother was first diagnosed and sick and stole money from her. So this is what was going on. So there was a lot of negativity, a lot of what you would call neglect on the people's part that should have been there for her, should have been taking care of her. And this young lady had to take the burden of all that. So that being said, I think it may have led to something. I have my own theories about this story, and now you can tell me what you think of this, but it gets creepy, okay? The shadow, according to her grandmother, was doing things to her. Like, at one point, it bit her on the foot. When the young lady, I'll call her Charlene, okay? I don't know, that sounds similar to her name, but anyway, Charlene, and she works as a nurse, and I can't now, and I don't want to say her name and put her on the spot or whatever, but she actually told me that she saw this bite mark on her big toe going down into her foot. And it looked like, it wasn't a real big bite, and her grandmother wasn't a real big person. And she says, my shadow did this to me. She found like what looked almost like, ligature marks on her wrist, like something had, and like, and she said that the shadow had squeezed her wrist. I don't know what it was that was causing this. And she kept thinking my grandmother has to be self-abusing. Maybe she feels so bad about having to, being put upon that she was abusing her, whatever. So one day comes, her uncle shows up, sees this bruise on her wrist, and sees a bruise on her neck, bite mark on her foot, and she accuses her. She says, oh, you're the one doing this. You're attacking my mother. She's like, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? Why, and the grandmother told her son, she's like, no, this is not what's happening. She's like, my shadow is doing this. She's like, okay, so you're creeping in there at night, and it's dark, and you're attacking her. And she kept telling her, she's real adamant. She's like, no, that's not what's happening. So the son hired, get this, a caretaker and not a nurse that would be there. So they had two nurses actually that were working in shifts, 12-hour shifts. Now, what happened was the one that was working there in the daytime, during the day, okay, and this woman was actually Jamaican. She came. She immediately, the next day, immediately, like right after the shift was over, told her, I quit. I'm not going back in there. Told her, I'm done. She's like, I done seen something going on, a shadow coming out of the wall, grabbing your grandma and blah, blah, blah. And I'm out of here. Okay. About a week goes by. They had another woman come. About a week goes by. They finally found another person to work at night. The night, they moved the other one to the night side. I'm sorry. That person at night that had originally been on days hadn't had anything happen or that she had noticed other than hearing noises. Said the same thing. She saw something literally grab this woman and bounce her up and down on the bed. Now, growing up, Charlene had told me that that house had ghost activity. It was haunted. There were things that had gone on. She had seen some really weird stuff. and lights coming on and off, most of this, small things, And then one day when this other woman quit, and I believe she was from like Kosovo or something, they were foreigners. She was walking down the hallway and she sees this woman dressed in black with a black veil over her face. You know how when you go into a funeral, go from one room into the other, go into her grandmother's room. And she's like, what the heck? And she was taking her food to her. And this gives me the chills. And so she's walking and she sees that and she's like, holy smokes, there's somebody walking into my grandmother's room. She goes up to the door and she kind of peeks around the corner and looks in. And for a split second, she saw this woman looking out the window. It was broad daylight. She could see through this woman. Her grandmother was asleep. She woke her grandmother up, tried to get her to eat. At this point, she could still eat. This was when she could still eat. Grandmother refused the food. She's like, I'm not feeling good. She had good days. She had bad days. She's going through chemo, all kinds of stuff. And so when she turned around, she heard her grandmother begin to choke. She turned back around and she just saw a black hand, solid black. Like I'm talking black, like that black. Grab her hand and put it on a hand, put on her neck, and begin to move her head back and forth. She screamed out. Charlene turned around, witnessed this. Just saw this weird hand floating in the air and went over to grab the grandmother and try to throw herself onto the grandmother. At that point, she felt something push the back of her head, pushing it down toward her grandmother's abdomen. And it was hurting the grandmother and it was hurting her neck. And she's like, dude, this thing is like, it felt like it began to turn her head and it was like it was going to break her neck. And her grandmother's being pushed down into the bed at the same time by some unseen force. When she looks up for a split second, she saw her grandmother standing on the side of the bed. But it was her grandmother like 20, 30 years before, like when she was middle-aged. How do you explain that? I have no freaking idea. It was a very, very weird story. It's a very weird case. I don't know what to make of it. But I do have my own theory about it. Now, I'm not sure this is going to be correct, but I'm going to tell you what I think I know. But we're not there yet. It gets more. Eventually, there were no more caretakers. The third one left, and they were like, "We got nobody else. There's nobody that's going to come and sit with Grandma," and so she was alone. People would stop by and say hi, this and that, but for the most part, it was just her 24/7 taking care of her grandmother, and her mother was perfectly content to let her be there. And so what ended up happening was the grandfather who had died like 2 years before or 10 years before came to her in a dream, and he told her, he says that there's things you need to know. That was the first dream, is all she remembers. Okay. Now, this woman, and somebody had just said something about a dead twin. This is where it gets weird. When she was born, okay, she had a twin that died in the womb, that was strangled by the umbilical cord or whatever. So she was born as a twin. That's interesting. That's very weird. That could be part of what we're dealing with. Now, I'm not saying that this is what this is, but her mother was very abusive to her, but she was also an abusive woman, to everybody. I'm talking about the grandmother's mother, this woman, Charlene's great-grandmother. She never missed an opportunity to take a swipe at her and to tell her, she would tell her, I wish you would have been the one that died. Just to be mean, just to be spiteful. And she had 2 brothers who were both abused. One who went missing when the kid was 14 or something. They say he ran away, but she believes that something sinister could have happened to him. This is the grandmother, okay? So she went through a lot of abuse. So at one point, Charlene starts to wonder if this spirit was her mother, was her great grandmother, her grandmother's mother, because some of the pictures that she had seen, it looked like almost like her mother, because she looked very similar to her mother, but she was also born as a twin that died, at birth. And somebody just said, Steve, The Dark Half. Yeah, I've never read that book. I don't know exactly I know the premise of it, but I've never read it. But that is an interesting thing, But it begs a question, though, like, what was this spirit? The grandmother was absolutely convinced that it was her own shadow, okay, that was coming to life and was literally choking her and smacking her and biting her and doing all these things to her. Okay. Now, if you ever heard of the religion of Zoroastrian, Zoroastrianism is a very interesting religion. It's a monotheistic religion. In fact, it's pretty much the world's first monotheistic religion. And it predates Christianity by a long time, and it predates Judaism and Islam by a long time. The three wise men were actually Zoroastrians. And when they showed up when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, they followed a star. Now, if you I'm sore, my back popped there. If you read about Zoroastrianism, there's really two gods. There's a good one and a bad one. There's Ahura Mazda, and then there's his shadow, which is what? Oh yeah. But anyway, the Ahura Mazda had a twin, and it was actually his shadow. Now, this wasn't lost on me. I really was like was interested in this. And I'm going to look some up real quick. Hold on one second. Because his name was Angra Mainyu. Now, Angra Mainyu, and it's spelled M-A-I, like Maine, U. Okay? And it's kind of interesting, too, that this actually happened in Maine. A lot of weird synchronicities there. I don't know if that means anything, but Angra Mainyu was actually Ahura Mazda's shadow. But he was the flip side. It was the yin and the yang. It was the evil. He was the bad guy. Now, they also believe in a heaven and a hell. They believe that if you go to hell, you basically go to a fiery place of unpleasantness, and you stay there, not for eternity, though. You just stay there until you're cleansed and you're purified, or your consciousness is just melted, like molten, like you drop metal into molten whatever, and then you're just reconstituted into something that's worth a crap. It's sort of in a nutshell. Now, it's really weird. She finally went into the room one day, Charlene did, to find her grandmother being with this shadowy looking being making these jerky movements on the top of her grandmother with its head over her mouth, and it looked like it was sucking her breath out of her. And all she could do was sit down in the chair, and she basically fell over into a chair and began to pray and begged God to please end this, to stop this, whatever. She witnessed it at this point. This shadow thing stopped at that moment, but later that night, or I think it was the next night, this shadow came into her room and crawled on the bed on top of her and began to suffocate her. She said it felt like pillowy hands. That's the only way she could describe it, as pillowy hands pushing down, covering her mouth, covering her nose, and she was trying to breathe, and it was like somebody was suffocating her with a pillow. But it was like hands, if that makes any sense. She struggled to try to explain to me what she meant. Eventually, she got it off of her, praying, begging God. She falls out of bed, and she sees this thing like run out of the room with feet, like a shadow, and then go down the hall. She gets up, and she's crawling at this point, and she looks down the hall, and she sees this thing, and it's like kind of just hovering on the side of the wall. And at that point, she looked at it, and when it turned its head toward her, she could only see the face. When it moved out of the darkness, she got to look at it. It was pitch black, but it did look like her grandmother. Not like her grandmother's mother, but it looked just like her grandmother. That night, when she got up, she went to go check on her grandmother. Her grandmother had expired. She had finally died. And then there was no more shadow, no more anything. That's what, when she had a dream, the second dream she's had of her grandfather appearing to her and says, I will take over from here. And I will take over from here. And it showed him taking her, like lifting her up on a step, and they were in this white light and they both kind of waved. Now, years later, her grandfather came back to her and said that there was something that she needed to know. And of course, she looked into it. She found out that she did have a twin that had died. What I want to know from you, the audience, is do you think that this was the twin? Maybe it had been with her all this time, and kind of like, what's that show where the guy's the serial killer and he thinks that he's doing a good thing with Dexter? He calls it his dark passenger. Was it her dark passenger? Was it the twin? Was it her mother that looked just like her, who always despised her and was just a very bad person? Or was it her own, was it a tulpa manifestation of her own sadness, of feeling that she was burdening everyone with her own death? Because she was such a very, very benevolent person, according to everyone that talked to me about it. She was a very benevolent person. Too good. Almost makes you think that maybe all of the good, because twins, a lot of times now, this is what I've been told. And I've just talked to some twins. They're bodybuilders. They work out at the gym the other day. I was talking to them about this. And they were talking about how they literally can finish each other's sentences. And I mean, it's almost like they have a hive mind mentality. And one of our dear friends, Yvonne, that runs TFN Nutrition, by the way, a shameless plug here, she's the best. If you're in Austin, you need supplements, she's got a smoothie bar, check out TFN. Anything that ails you, she can help you fix it. Believe me, I'm not kidding. Yeah, you can hit her up on Facebook too. But anyway, her name is Yvonne Graham. She was an Olympic athlete, a gold medalist. Look her up. Lori P., thank you for that that donation. Now here's the question. What do you think it was? Was it just a demon? Was it just a demonic spirit? Was it her own? Was it a tulpa? Was it her mother? Was it a spirit that was already in the house? Because there were, and we'll add, look, Angela Pileggi, see, I said it correctly. Yeah. I think it was some sort of demonic entity picking on her during a time she was very weak. Why would a twin who had passed even be evil? Well, here's why, Angela. Since you're so smart. One more. Anyway. No, what I'm saying is, because I believe that it's very possible that twins can actually be so connected that they share a soul, and that one of them will actually stay with that person until that other person passes on. I've heard some really weird stories. I'd like to do a show now. I have 2 stories about twins and doing really weird stuff. It'd probably take about half an hour worth of time. I need more. If I can get some more, I'm going to start posting in the groups. This is how I get a lot of stories too, folks. Believe me. I can go and start posting in the groups about, looks like something happened. I'll post in the groups and I'll start asking people until I can find somebody to give me some more twin stories. I have 2 that were given to me since I've started the show. That's it. But I also have 2 others that I had been given by people in person that I've met in my day-to-day life. Yvonne was a twin. These guys, the Meaf brothers, they are, ask Anthony if they're called the Meaf twins. I can't remember exactly, but they're bodybuilders and they work out in our gym. I think they're called the Meaf twins. But they talk about how they can, they're like almost like a hive mind, Meef twins. Okay. Anyways, what's crazy though is when you start to, and they had a shadow man experience when they were kids. These Meef twins. One of the things that's really crazy though is when my friend was little, he was a twin. And he was a very good friend of mine that I had grown up with, and he had a brother, and he would hear his brother's name being called, things like that. And at one point, I think he even thought that, like, he believed that maybe he had seen an alternate reality where they're not called the Beef Twins, sir. They're called the Meef Twins. Look them up. They're on Instagram. Well, yeah. I mean, if a person is weak, like somebody said about the cancer, it's a very weird. These people don't know, and neither do I. You're all stupid, sir. Okay, you're all dumb. That's why you're here to learn. Okay, ma'am, sir, baby child, whatever you are. Okay, let me tell the story, ma'ams. Okay, if you don't know that you know all the answers to this story, then you should be up here doing my job and telling the stories the way you want them to be told, because I'm the guy that's here trying to teach you. Okay? I'm just saying, you think you know everything and you're not. You're smart. You think you're just smart. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, it'd be the other way around. The foot on the other shoe would be for you to be up here and me to be in the sections of the comment. So time out and you shut up. And you're moving on. Carrying on. You just, well, I'll give you some lips. I'll give them, you watch. Somebody needs to take Andrew Brown and get him out. He's talking bad. I think Andrew Brown needs a timeout. I think Andrew Brown's probably been sent here by someone. That's what I think. My conspiratorial mind at work. Here's the thing. All joking aside. There is a lot of components to this story. And now, if we would have got into it, who knows? The people will just throw a simplistic answer out there. It was a demon. It's a demon just doing what the demons do. We really don't even know what they do. We just, we really don't. We don't know. I've heard all kinds of weird things. If you think I'm joking about this, do some research. Look into it. And they're not the Beef Twins. People would quit calling them that. Go look on Instagram. They're called the Meef Twins. They're MEEF. And ask them about their shadow experiences. They told me and Anthony about them at the gym the other day. Anyways, thank you for the donation, John. You're too kind. And Lori, thank you. Amy, Christina, thank you all. Here's the thing. I thought I had this story down, Pat. I thought, you know what? I know exactly what this is. She created a tulpa out of guilt because she felt like she was taking, darn near a year out of her granddaughter's life. She loved everybody. She was so kind. But hear me out. What if, because her twin died, she was the one that was bestowed with all the goodness and all the kindness, and the dead twin got all the darkness, and that it followed her around? That's all I'm saying. Mic drop. It's not as dramatic when it's done in here. That's all I'm saying. You want to play games? Okay. Let's play games. How about I do the whole show like this and this accent with these glasses on? Huh? You want to play with me? You want to play with me? Let's play games. The whole show. The whole show is going to be done like this. Because you people out there want to play games and think it's funny. Okay? That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Say hello to my little friend. Watch this trick I can do. I can make it turn into rubber. Look at that. Wow. It's amazing. Anyway, moving on. If I told you a story like that, I'd be criticized. See, here's the thing. I get criticized for being too jokey. I wasn't serious enough on Halloween. Or I'm too stiff. Sometimes his voice is just too quiet. Sometimes it's way too loud. It needs to have more dignity, or else he's way too proud. I'm really tired of that, okay? I don't care. I don't give a crap. This is me, folks, okay? I come in all loose. You know? It's like boxing. You go in the ring stiff, you come out stiff, bro. All right? Get found stiff like frozen food. Okay? Anyways. Moving on. We're going to tell another story here. What do you want? You want Dog Man? You want the Chocolate Factory? Huh? You want that? You want the Chocolate Factory? Let me know what you want. Y'all running the show now. Y'all doing everything. I'm just up here looking stupid. Just all the time, man. Get criticized for everything. You know, if I went and I sat in the swimming pool and I would talk to you and I went live in the side of a swimming pool, they'd be like, what does he think he is? Michael Phelps? If I was on a bike, riding a bike, we're like, hey, folks, who does he think he is? Lance Armstrong, which I actually did security for one of his bicycle deals for years. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to get attacked. I'm going to be criticized, and I'm just don't care. I really don't give a crap. Your opinion, like I've said before, is worth as much as a fresh bucket of hamster vomit in the open market. Now let's see what we can get for it. I can tell the story, or I can sit here and be criticized, or you just shut the heck up and let me do what I do. Anyways, we're going to move on. Somebody says, Dog Man, please. Psych Bear, I'm going to take your advice. We're going to do Dog Man. Here we go with the Dog Man story. I'm going to tell it just like this really fast. Now, this guy was really cold at night. He was walking at night. It was in October. Unseasonably cold for October. And he was walking. He said, oh, hey, look, there's a dog man there. Oh, hey, get away. Kid, you bother me. And he kept going. And the dog man was like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, he was looking at me. That's right. Oh, no, it's a dog man. He took off. He got running and he got home. Went to sleep. That was it. Had a nightmare. Oh, so the dog man. It was just a nightmare. The end. Next story. Rapid fire. Chocolate Factory. Guy was in a chocolate factory. He said, oh man, this thing must be haunted. Oh, look at the ghost. Oh no, look, chocolate factory. Oh, it pushed him down the keyboard. He said, oh, there's a ghost. I looked up. There's a black shadow. Was a shadow? It was like a skeleton. Oh my gosh, it was a ghost. No, maybe it was a skeleton. Whew, I'm scared. The end. Next story. Is that what you want? Because I could do that. We could do this all day. I could tell 1,000 stories right now in under 10 minutes if you'd like me to tell you. People are like, you just tell a story, you don't say anything. I don't want to hear you look at this dude. I'm not a robot, dude. I'm sorry. I'm not robot chicken guy. I can't do that. I can't just go, here's a story, and then have somebody tell you, and then that's it. And then, we can't do that. I'm a human being, and I'm going to tell you the story. And not everything is a demon. Okay? Here a demon, there a demon, everywhere a demon, demon. I wrote another song for you. Have you heard this one? Oh, shut the hole under your nose, shut the hole under your nose. I improvised that last part. It wasn't rehearsed at all. So anyways, I'm going to tell you the Dogman story from Houston. This happened to a guy who was walking through, and it's funny how he told me this. This guy told me this, and this was I met this guy at the gym too, at a gym that I will no longer go to, that I'm very angry with those little jerks, because they started closing. As soon as COVID hit, they were like, oh, yes, wait, our money, we're going to make our money back. Start closing on Sunday. Only be open Sunday between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock p.m. That's it. That's all you get. Saturday is just 2 to 3, and then Sunday we're closed, and we're going to close at 8 o'clock on Friday, and we're going to save a ton of money on our on the help, on labor. Because it makes perfect sense with COVID that all these big grocery stores and all these big box stores and Walmart and everybody else should close at 8 o'clock, so everyone has to cram in there at the same time. Okay? Because everybody knows that COVID strikes at night after 8 o'clock. After 8 p.m., COVID comes, and you're just, if you're out and driving around, you're like, 7:58. I gotta get home. I'm 2 miles from home. I'm 7:59. Oh my God. COVID's coming. 8 o'clock. Oh my God. 8 o'clock. Get the bags of groceries, honey. Let's go. She trips. Oh, save yourself. You run inside. She's on the ground rolling around. Ah, COVID. It's on me. It's on me. Ah, it's on my face. Ah. You're looking from outside in the curtains like, oh my God. Wow, I really loved her, but I'm safe. That's all I can say. I'll just wait till tomorrow, honey. I'll get the groceries. Hopefully you're still alive. We should have known better than to go to the grocery store at 7:30. Someone just got COVID and almost died in that skit, and you're laughing? You think it's funny? Yeah, Walmart's over there like, yeah, we're going to keep doing this. I like this. It's cool. And you check yourself out. You will never get another dime from me, Walmart. I don't care if you're the last store on earth, okay? And I'm crawling through the desert, okay? Like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. What am I going to do? Oh, man, I'm dying out here. And I see the mirage, and it's Wally World. Last chance. I'm just going to keep going to the next mirage because you won't take another dime from me. Now you don't even have checkers. Now we just check ourselves out to buy, as Dave Chappelle said, mediocre products. No, thank you. That come from another country. That's, not going to do it. Thank you, Walmart, but no thank you. I'd rather just wait until the next day than go there. Went there one day not too long ago. It was a very unpleasant experience. Then I had to check myself out, which never works. Scan next item. Beep. 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 Can you help me, please? They walk over there like, and they walk off. And then you feel bad for some reason because you bothered them because you're stupid and you couldn't figure out how to make them ring up your giant sunglasses, which I didn't get at Walmart, by the way. It's horrible. It's a horrible experience. It's as scary as a dog man and a Bigfoot tag teaming, chasing after you in the woods. In fact, I'll take my chances in the LBL rather than go to Walmart. And what the eyes have seen cannot be unseen. I saw a woman the other day walking a guy. This wasn't Halloween time either. It was a few months ago. By a leash. Okay. And this guy had no shirt on. Do you remember that? You were with me. She was walking this guy like he was a dog. He was behind her. This is the kind of stuff you see at Walmart. I was in the frozen food section. I'm going like, is this really happening? Like, really, for real? This is what I can't even come up here and get my wife some ice cream. I got to look at you do this with no clothes, with barely any clothes. Man, boy, dude, you people make me want to, boy, I will. And no, dear healer, I'm not high. I'm just being honest. It's ridiculousness. Anyways. Spooky Walmart. I did have a story about Walmart, though. I had a person who told me they worked in a haunted Walmart. They really did, and it was really freaking scary. And I might tell that story one day. Anyways, this guy, he saw a dog man, if you want to call it that. I don't know exactly what it was he saw, but he was leaving a friend of his bar, or a friend of his were leaving a bar, and his friend's vehicle wouldn't start, and this guy had to get home. He's like, look, man, I ain't got time to wait around. I can just walk. It's a few blocks, and and I'm sorry to leave you, but I got to get home. He's like, my wife is already like pretty upset. He's been at the bar a little longer than he was supposed to. I know for my butt better get home at a certain time. When my wife's like, you better get home. You better get home. I'm like, yeah, but honey, I'm having fun with my friend. I don't care. Better get home. Okay. Why am I hanging it up? I don't hang up the phone like that. I just go click. I tell my friends, I'm like, she thinks she's running things. What time is it? I got about 15 minutes, guys. Then I go, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Then I never come out around the back. Then they ask me what I did. I'm like, dude, there was a puppy that somebody was trying to set on fire. I stopped them. I saved the puppy, took it to the shelter. By the time I come back, y'all were gone. And I had to defeat this person that was trying to hurt this dog while y'all just drank and had fun. When in reality, I had to get home because my wife said, you better get home. That's it. So anyway, guy had to walk through a construction site. I mean, this isn't like a long, drawn-out story, but it is disturbing. And he said that the construction site was in the middle stages. And this all came up because I work security doing a construction with a construction company. One of my big clients is a construction guy. Actually, two of them, I should say. And we were talking about him needing a job and whatnot. And we were talking to him about, well, yeah, you can come work for us, and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, dude, I had something really scary happen to me at a construction site. And I had to go. I was like, well, you know what? You got my information. Hit me up. He did. What he said he saw was basically a werewolf. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. I mean, it's not cool for him, but it's cool for us here on the Halloween Leftover Show. Eric Garcia, thank you for that. Sheila Loya, thank you for that. Donations, appreciate it. Let me be a man, please. Please. You know what I go through. No, what happened was this guy was walking through the construction site. He said that he had to go underneath a fence. It was kind of, and I know everything he's talking about. And he was talking about, he wishes that this place would have had security because he was walking through there. And, he's like, I get past this one building and I hear, he said it was really weird. He said it sounded like a dog. Like at first he thought it was like a dog panting, and then he thought he heard snoring, and he was like, I don't know what I'm hearing. And he gets up to one of the windows. There's no window there. It's just cut, a rectangle that's cut. And I know the exact stages of these buildings because I work construction security a lot. That's not my main job, but we do a lot of it. And at the moment, it is actually our main. We have like 6 sites with this one company, and we have about 4 with another. It's a very lucrative business too, because there's a ton of money on those sites that that could be lost in minutes. Now, this place didn't have security. This was right outside of Houston, and I can tell you right now, that's silly. If you're in construction, you don't have a security watching your stuff. You could lose a whole lot of money real quick. So anyway, he was walking and he goes, I wish there was a security guard there. I didn't see one. But he gets up to the window and he looks in and it's dark and he sees something move like what looks like an arm. Well, when he looked at the arm, he said, dude, it was hairy and it looked like it had claws. And he said, dude, I was like, am I seeing this? What in the heck am I looking at? And he told me this in person. When I went up to talk to him, I said, when are you working out again? I'll meet you up there. We talked. Like I said, I no longer go to this particular gym because they made me angry. because of their BS, their abuse of the COVID, whatever. So he said that he was looking to his left, and then he saw this thing kind of like, it looked like something moved or rolled over. And so I'm thinking, Dogman, asleep on a construction site. This isn't the first time I've heard a story similar to this. In fact, I told one on DER. It was very similar to this. And I started to almost finish what he was going to say. I said, dude, I know you woke it up. And he said, yeah. He said, I walk and I step right on some gravel, and it made a loud noise. And he goes, and then there was a piece of plastic there, like Tyvek or whatever. And he goes, that's all it took. And he said, then this thing gets up, turns and rolls. And he said it was like a dog getting up and looking on all fours. And he said that he heard it just go. When he did the noise, and I practiced to see if I could do it, that was about as close as I'm going to get. He said it was like the largest Rottweiler on earth just growling at you. And he said, I stood there frozen. And he said, and all I had was a beer that I'd stuck in my pocket. He's like, I pulled this beer bottle out, and I thought, well, this is my weapon here. He looks around for anything, rebar, anything to try to protect himself. And he just says, you know what? I'm just going to keep walking. I'm just going to keep walking. He said he gets past the next window. He can see it moving, kind of, going up to the window, still several paces behind him. He gets up to where the doorway is, and he's thinking, he goes, at this point, I felt like I was going to faint. He's like, all the blood was just, he goes, I was seeing black spots. I don't know how high my blood pressure was. I don't know how much adrenaline was in my body. He's like, I thought I was going to die right there. Not just from this thing, but, just from just being so terrified. He's like, I sobered up so fast. He's like, it didn't help me to be drunk. He's like, I was just like immediately sober. He said he got up to the door, and he said that this thing started to move a little quicker. Then he went past it. He walked right past the building. And he says he gets past this building, and he turns and he looks back to his left, and he looks through one of the other windows from the front. He doesn't see it. It's dark. He can't see it. Then he turns around and looks to his right as he's going at an angle in between two buildings, and he's thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do because there's nobody out here but me. I'm on a construction site by myself, coming from a bar. So he called his friend. He said, hey, man, I'm over here at a construction site. I don't, his friend's waiting for an Uber or whatever. They're going to leave the vehicle in the parking lot, whatever. He said, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm taking an Uber. He goes, well, can you pick me up at the front of this construction site? He's like, it's only a couple blocks. And anyways, somebody said that site did have security. I don't know what you're talking about. And anyway, so whenever he was walking through between the two buildings, he's like, there's something here. But for whatever reason, he was scared to tell his friend, what it was. He said, I felt like if I told on it, that it was going to attack me. That is a very common thing because people think, oh, you know what? If I talk about it, I'm going to bring it up. If I do this or do that, I don't want to say it. I was in a house that had, I'm not going to call it haunted. It was a demonic oppression. Not my old house, but a different house. And people were talking about it. And when this one girl started talking about stuff, like literally a skillet or what is the longer ones are called a skillet, right? It was a pan. Anyway, that fell onto the floor. We were all like, what the heck? And me being the biggest, strongest, and toughest person in the room, I was like, oh my God, goodbye. And I got up and I ran. Good luck with the rest of y'all and your demons and everything. I got to go. Upon seeing this, everyone else fainted. So anyways, this person was walking and they said, I called my friend. I was on the phone with him and he's like, I was already crying at this point. He goes, I didn't know what to do. He said, then I see this thing. I turn around and I see the head sticking out of the doorway. And he goes, I convinced myself at that point it was just a mask. I said, you know what this is? This is a person who's wearing a freaking mask and they're trying to scare me. And it was in October. He said it was like in late October, like in October 20 something. Couldn't tell me exactly what day. And he said, dude, I look back and it was cold. It was a little chilly, And he said it was this, not like he was freezing or anything, but he said, I didn't even feel any cold. I didn't feel anything. I just felt like I was going to die. He's like, I turned around, I looked at it, and it stared at me. He goes, and then I heard footsteps behind me. I get around the corner of the front building to the front of this place. He goes, and all I'm doing is thank God, please God, help me, please God. He's thinking, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. He gets past that building, goes up to the front, and he hears like something is running behind him. Just then the Uber pulls up. His friend. And when the Uber pulled up, the Uber started to take off. He turns around and he sees this thing standing there. It's just standing there right up on like a hill. It's kind of a decline there. He said, I look up and it's up on a hill. It was gray. He said it was a grayish color. And it was on two legs. And it was a werewolf-looking creature. And it was just staring at him. And the Uber driver, I guess, thought, oh my goodness, what the heck is that? And said, I'm out of here. So just kept going. So he's talking to his friend. He's like, please tell the guy to stop, you know. And he runs. Tries to climb the fence. What he didn't realize was the fence was, a lot of these construction sites are very flimsy, and it just started to fall over. So he fell, he tripped, landed, cut his leg open, his knee, and got his foot hung in the fence. He looks back, and this thing is about 10 feet from him, walking toward him. At that point, or he said 10 yards, I'm sorry. A good difference between 10 feet and 10 yards. He said it was about 10 yards away from him. He looks back, and this thing is just like walking toward him. And I guess his friend was screaming to stop the Uber, and good his friend got out of the Uber. Because he's taking a chance, because the Uber guy could have just said goodbye. And the Uber driver got so panicky and so weirded out that he actually ran his friend over. His friend got out and started kind of running toward him to try to help him. That's a good friend. And the Uber driver drove backwards and hit his friend and knocked his friend over. Didn't run him over, but he hit him. And he said his friend crawled, got up, and ran toward him and helped him get his shoe out of the fence. And he ran and got in the Uber with one shoe. And this thing was already out into the street, and at that point began to run toward them as they're running toward the car on all fours. They get in the vehicle, and the vehicle takes off. They could see it. They outran it. It wasn't like it was so fast that it kept pace, nothing like that. Can you imagine the terror that went through this guy's mind? 28 years old. He's thinking, got a wife and kid at home. He's probably going to die anyway. His wife's going to kill him when he gets home. So, but the poor guy, And let's look at it from another perspective. You're there just being what you are, and you're just taking a nap, chilling inside of a building. You fell asleep in your Halloween costume, and some drunk guy comes staggering through. The costume is stuck on your head. You can't get it off, and you're like, hey, help me. And you're running toward this guy to try to help you get the costume off, and then he falls over the fence and then runs and gets in a car and leaves you there with the costume on, and you're just stuck. You can't do anything. You're out in the middle of the street crawling toward the car to try to get help. You see what I did there? I said I did it from the dog man's perspective. I'm kidding. No, that is a terrifying experience. This guy told me this to my face. I asked him again. I talked to him on the phone. He told me I asked him in person. He told me he's a big guy, works out of the real cool guy, and he's from Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, I forgive him. I've come to terms with it. He's from Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh. My doctor's from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a beautiful city. There's nothing wrong with Pittsburgh. I just don't like the Steelers. Cowboys have played in the Super Bowl 3 times. I'm biased, but the point is, this guy went through a very terrifying and traumatic experience. And I said, sir, can you please give me your story? I'm not going to do anything to help you because I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but I am going to tell your story. And then I looked at him, waiting for him to be impressed, which he wasn't. And I said, well, thanks. And I told his story. He asked me if there was anything else I could do, like support groups, anything like that. I said, nope. Sorry. So, originally from Pittsburgh, lived in Houston. After that, he moved from Houston. His company had an office here in Austin. He said, I'm going to Austin. I said, welcome, sir. You have now entered a area that has more of them. In fact, I'm one of them too. Ah! And it's not what happened. Oh, Nelly over here. I knew it. Honey, I shave every day because my hair grows fast. I told you that. Jeez, you keep getting all weirded out about the hair in the sink and all that. That's not. Anyways, the Chocolate Factory haunting. This was told to me from a fan who said, what's so funny? Oh, somebody said, so callous, Wolfie. I know, that wolf was callous to chase him like that. Terrifying people. Heck is wrong with you? Lancaster Stimulate says Lancaster should have a sports team called the Buggies. The heck is that? Anyways, moving on. This story was told to me by a listener of my show. And this is a scary story. There's a guy who was from Belgium, and it was actually told from a friend of mine who lived in Belgium. She was actually Dutch. Now, there's a difference. Belgium is kind of in between France and the Netherlands and Germany. It's kind of nestled right in there. And so they speak Dutch, they speak German, they speak French. There's no Belgian language. It's just that's what they speak. It's like a meeting, one of those in between countries. So anyways, oh, so anyways, you're talking about Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Is that what you're talking about? Because there's a Lancaster, California too, where my wife's from. Well, you're not from there, but you live there. So anyways, what ended up happening was this person told me this story. It's like, I know somebody who had a horrific experience, and they. So I talked to the guy. He spoke pretty good English, and he told me, he said, "Man, I had a job working for a company, a very large company, a Belgian chocolate place." And he said, "I worked there for a while, like 12 years." And he said that the first 8-9 years he worked there, then he left to go work another job. That job didn't work out. Then he was kind of like in between jobs for a while. And lo and behold, they call him and they told him, "Hey, would you like to come back to work for us? We had to fire your replacement." So he was actually without a job for a couple months. And he was like, I didn't even waste time. I didn't even try to negotiate. I just said, sure. And I jumped back at the opportunity. He was a supervisor and had his own office. And so he went right back to work. But when he got back to work, he realized that there was something weird about the place. He said prior to him leaving, the place was not haunted. He'd heard a couple stories, people saying they saw a shadow, things like that. Nothing ever happened to him. He was there at night. He goes, I'd lock up late at night. I would open, sometimes he's like, we would 24 hours they were going, but he said, I would lock my office up and leave, at night. The other guy would come in, whatever. And he's like, nothing. I never saw anything. I was there by myself. Certain parts of the factory would be shut down for the night. The holidays, they would shut down and he would lock up. Never saw anything when he's by himself. Nothing happened. Nothing. His house wasn't haunted. His car wasn't haunted. It was just nothing. His phone was haunted. He used to get calls for his extended warranty, like all the time, like we all do. But that's all of us, right? We're all suffering through that. But anyway, he said that one night when I think he said it was his second night back. He said the first night was just him getting reacquainted and talking to the employees that were still there, whatever. His second night back, he noticed something move in the corner of his eye. And he said that he turned and looked and he thought he saw something move for a split second. One of the things that he told me that was very interesting was that there was always a mirror, like where his desk was. He was very descriptive. He said there was a mirror on the other side to his left. But when he came back after his 2-year hiatus and this other guy was in charge, there was a mirror across from the other mirror. And he said this second night, he kept seeing stuff move or whatever, because he said the first night he was mostly on the floor doing stuff. Second night he was in there doing paperwork. And he said, I noticed there was 2 mirrors. And I thought, why are there 2 mirrors? You know, why would somebody put another mirror opposite, 10 feet away from this other mirror? I mean, it's weird. Why would you do that? And he went up and he looked in the mirror, and he looked and he thought, this is weird. That mirror looked different, distinctly different than the other mirror. The one he had before. So he turned and he looked, and both of the mirrors were they were the same, but neither one of them were the mirror that he had originally had in that office. So somebody had taken the old mirror out and replaced it with 2 oddly shaped mirrors. He said they were oval in shape. And when you would turn to the side or whatever, they kind of distorted your person was distorted. And then he said that, he goes, when I was looking in the mirror, I thought I saw something pop up behind me to my right. And he goes, and I was like, whoa, I was startled. I jumped. And he's like, I don't know why there was something in the mirror, but there was. And I thought, my mind's just playing tricks on me, whatever. He goes to his desk, finishes his shift, goes home. Next day, big boss comes in, tells him, guy that used to work here left some of his things and he's not allowed on the property. Can you put them, they're on that bottom 3rd drawer. Can you put them in a box for him and put them at the front desk, at the receptionist's desk? He said, sure. But there's nothing in the desk. I've looked. He said, no, he's pretty adamant that they're on the left bottom drawer. There's three drawers. And so he says, okay. So what he ended up doing, he started digging around in that 3rd drawer, and he goes, what in the heck? What am I missing here? And then he noticed the 3rd drawer wasn't very deep. And he went to the other side, and he noticed that it held a lot of stuff. Thank you, Christina, for that donation. She says, Josh is the #1 storyteller on YouTube. Over 340 people in the chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. But when he went to the other, now Anthony and me talked to a woman when we went to visit an apartment complex. When we were looking for an apartment to dump Zane on. I mean, not to dump Zane. I'm sorry, Zane. To get you a place to live. Absolutely not to get rid of you because you were an annoying person to live with. That is not the case at all. We were simply trying to help you find a place to live. Right, Anthony? When we went to the place, that apartment complex that had the 2 mirrors facing each other, remember? Oh, yeah. And I told the apartment manager lady this story. She scared the heck out of her. She may even be in the chat. She said she watches the show. So I told her, I said, well, probably shouldn't have 2 mirrors facing each other. I know a story about that. Anyways, he notices that the drawer was like kind of shallow. So he starts to mess around and he sees this is like a piece of cardboard there. And then he kind of lifts it up. Piece of wood. Lifts that up. He hit pay dirt. Whole bunch of weird stuff in that drawer. One thing that looked like a little voodoo doll made out of hay or something with little clothes and stuff. Looked like a little stick man with like hay and stuff inside of it. He found a weird looking, I don't know how to describe it. I guess like it would be a pentagram, but it was weird looking. Like it had melted stuff all over it, which he came to find out was wax, black wax. And then he found some other things. few other, a little skinny dagger, and a weird little vial of something he didn't know what it was. So he took all these little artifacts, these things, and he put them in a box, took them down the receptionist area, stuck them at the reception. You okay? Took them to the receptionist area, gave them to the front desk guy. Front desk guy was a security guard, worked there for several years. Knew him, I think he said 7 years. 5 of those years he worked with him. And he says, let me tell you something about this guy. He goes, that guy was into black magic. And he's like, yeah, I kind of deduced that. And the guard didn't even open the box, didn't even look inside of it. And he said, he goes, that guy, they had a person that died in a car wreck, you know, after arguing with him. Like a week goes by, the person gets hit by a car. Not a car wreck, but he gets hit by a car. And he said, there was something very wrong with that guy. He goes, one day that guy was talking to me, and he says that he started, you know, just kind of like he was going back and like kind of rocking back and forth. I thought the guy was having a seizure, and his eyes went back in his head. And then he opened his eyes again. He kind of shook his head and just started nodding like he was talking to him. And he was like, what the heck? The security guy told him that. He said after that, I couldn't ever talk to him. I'd just be like, hey, what's up? You know, just keep my head down like I was reading. And he said there was a lot of weird stuff that went on there. There was a woman that was working there, which is why he got fired. She got pregnant by him. He told her basically to get rid of the baby or she was going to lose her job. So she went to the HR, told him everything. He got fired. She ended up committing suicide. Yep. Supposedly. She had a miscarriage and committed suicide after that. So this is not a nice individual. This is not a good guy. So this is what he's dealing with. And he's like, I had no experience with this kind of stuff at all. I had never, ever dealt with this kind of occult bullcrap. Never dealt with it. He's like, I was scared, very scared, as he told me. And he said that what ended up happening was one day when he was working late, and there was his part of the factory, they would cut it down to like a skeleton crew in his part. And he decided to stay to do some extra work, to get caught up, you know. It was the end of his first week. And he said that he started to get really sleepy. And he said that he don't know how or why. He's like, I'm not a, you know, I don't get sleepy at work. I don't just take naps, you know. He's like, I try to be a very good worker, you know, an employee and a boss and everything. And he said he just like fell out onto his laptop. He wakes up and he feels like something almost like crawling on the back of his head. He said it was like it was starting from the top of his head and going down the back of his head. And then he realized it was a hand. And he looks up and he sees just over the top of the computer, black. All it is black. And then as he tries to lift his head, something begins to push his head violently down onto the keyboard. And he is like, at this point, he goes, I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't scream. He goes, I tried to make a noise. I couldn't scream. And there was nobody around that was going to hear me up there in the office screaming. And he said that he was there. And he said that he couldn't move. He was paralyzed. Eventually, he was able to free his hands and reach over, and he tried to grab this thing, whatever it was. He said it felt weird, almost like it was so spongy, but also it felt kind of like a bone. Like the outside felt like bone, but when he squeezed it, it was like a sponge. That's the way he described it. And he said that eventually he just said, Jesus, help me. You know, like that's all he could think to do. And he wasn't religious. He was very adamant that he was not religious prior to this. And this thing stopped the head being pushed down. Now, when I was talking to Tony Merkel, one of the things that me and Tony talked about on his show, and I believe it might have been the overtime episode, one of the things that we talked about was how there was a Satanist that told Tony, and he didn't know how or why that it worked, but it did. When people would plead the blood of Jesus or they would scream out and cry to Jesus, that it would stop things. And, of course, this guy's saying he doesn't know how it works. Well, I do. But, that's my belief. That's my whatever. And I'm not pushing it on you. I'm not telling you to believe how I believe. I don't do that. But this guy did this. And he said he sat up. He goes, I had tears streaming down my eyes. He's a 42-year-old man. No, I'm sorry, 48-year-old man. Tears streaming down out of his eyes. He's like, I don't know what to do. I was floored. I was just, blown away. I was dealing with something demonic. He's like, I sat up and I looked, and over the top of my computer, hovering, was a black entity that looked like the Grim Reaper. He said, I'm talking the hood. He's like, the black face was a bone. It was bone. It was like charred, a skeleton face that was charred, like black. And he says, I looked up and I saw this, I'm staring at it, and I'm just like, what am I looking at, dude? And he said there were teeth, like human-like teeth. He's like, there was nothing. It was just black, like a charred black face. Like it was just absolutely like bone, like a skeleton, skull. He goes, I looked down, I saw its weird-looking hands. It was like there was like just like a dried-up flesh on bone on his hands. And he said that it was like a cloak, and it was hovering, and it was starting to go up. He said then it just kind of moved and went into the mirror, like off to the left, and it was gone. So he went and he took both of those mirrors down, took them to the dumpster, and threw them in the trash. And he went to a friend of his, and she took him to her church. And he talked to a preacher, not a priest, he was a preacher. And they began to talk about this. And then over time, him and that preacher became friends, and he started going to church. Now, he said that it didn't end with that. This stuff followed him to his house. He woke up one night with this, and this is what really made him start to actually, renew his faith. When he was a child, he had kind of lost faith and whatever. This thing grabbed him by his ankles, the same entity. Like about 2 weeks after that initial, he kept feeling like something was watching him. It grabbed him by his ankles and pulled him out of his bed and started to drag him down the hallway. And after that, he began to scream and cry out, and did the same thing he did before, crying, Christ, help me, please help me, help me. It let go. Very persistent entity. And then one of his employees broke their leg. And when they said when they were trying to get up off the ground, like they had slipped. When they tried to get up off the ground, they felt something press onto their leg and it broke. Very weird. They were very adamant that the fall didn't break the leg. It was like something pushed them onto and made them break the leg. So they had to have a preacher. They had a preacher and a priest, both, 2 different churches come and try to bless the place and they brought a psychic in. And the psychic, she was very adamant that there was a demonic presence that had taken hold in that place because the person that had worked that job was using black magic. And that they had set those mirrors up and they created a portal for this thing to move through. So there's that story. And then he said that to this day, he still gets like glimpses in the corners of his eye. Sometimes he'll have a nightmare, this and that. It's like it's ongoing. It hasn't ended. He did find out that the guy that worked there did some time in prison and then did something else and became a fugitive in another country. A neighboring country. But anyway, that's that story. And now I'll look at the chat and answer questions if anybody has any. Ash says, why do Americans say, I seen it? Well, I don't know. I seen your comment. I seen it. And I answered it with another comment. I saw it. I think for some reason saying I saw it just sounds, I don't know. Patsy Trick says, these hooding things go through windows, or should I say glass as well? Yes, they do. Oh, and by the way, Patsy, the Halloween costume contest was a big hit. It was your idea. I ran with it, and we did the big giveaway. 6 different people got stuff. Should be shipped out in the morning. Everything was turned in today. Should be shipped out in the morning, and then you should be getting it in a few days, everybody. Last Starfighter Born, he said, you need to come on the show and talk about some of these experiences. You're talking about the Comal County. Yeah, there's some weird stories out of these counties here in Texas. He says, I definitely know a cabin I rented in Spring Branch, Texas, Comal County, had demonic oppression. It was horrible for the few months there. Eric says he had a nightmare about a coconut crab. Sorry, man. Hey, I didn't bring the coconut crab up, a coconut spider, whatever. That was Nick Valente. And Patsy, you said it was awesome. Yes, it was. We had a great time. Angela has a question. She says, question, when the Bible talks about teaching the gospel to every living creature, I'm paraphrasing, do you think that means non-human, non-animal creatures in addition to mankind? Yes. Yes, I do. Why not? Yeah, this person says, movies with Moss. Any creepy first responder or hospital stories? Absolutely. One time my wife, I had to go to the emergency room. I don't remember, my blood pressure was high or something. And it was back when I was having all kinds of health issues. And my wife took me to the emergency room, and I just started talking to the nurses, and there were 2 or 3 of them down in Houston, or in Tomball. And I was there visiting my mother. And they were telling us some spooky stuff, saying that they had all kinds of stories. And I actually had one get in touch with me and give me a couple stories. And I need to do a show about that, because I have a guy that was an EMT that answered a call on something that happened at one of our properties, and me and my brother were working at it years ago, and told us some crazy stuff. Yeah, Nina says, I'm paranoid at the dressing room mirrors at Target. I was at the gym. I work out at Big Tex. It's one of the gyms I work out at. One of the gyms, and I noticed that there was a mirror laying on its side, and when I was in there washing my hands, looking in the mirror, because after I finish lifting, even though I wear gloves, I just try to. I have these wrist wraps. I wash my hands and my wrists. I don't want rash or anything like that. And I look over and I see like the mirror laying on its side, and it's reflecting from the other mirror, and I'm going like, great. I just don't like that. There used to be a place, a retirement home, and then that whole retirement home, the only place that ever freaked me out or spooked me out was where there was a place where there were 2 mirrors across from each other. But I've gotten lots of stories from nurses. I'm thinking about, just doing a show about stuff from nurses, you know. Any more haunted tower stories? I gave you what I had. I could tell you a handful of stories that came from the guard logs. But I gave you what I had for the most part. Actually, you know what? I didn't. There was one story about the haunted tower I can tell you. And why not? This is Halloween overtime, right? I'll tell you. I had a buddy named Oscar, and he actually was there with me and Tony Duran and my friend Jason whenever we saw those hellhounds. When Tony Duran comes on the show, he actually talks about it. He also talks a little bit about working in that building. But my friend Oscar that was there with me, we were up on the top floor, on the very top of the roof, basically on the roof, and there was a helicopter landing spot on the roof. You could land a helicopter on that building. It had the circle with the X, whatever landing spot. And so and there was all like little small pebble gravel all the way around that landing spot. And my friend Oscar was there with me one night, and we were up on the very top, up there where the helicopter landing spot was. And while I was there was never a helicopter that landed or anything, but it was just there. It was a place for it to land. So anyway, we were up there on the very top, and you could look out and see over the whole city. It's a pretty cool building. Unfortunately, it's haunted as heck, or infested, I should say. And then we hear the door of the penthouse open. That goes from the penthouse up into the roof, and we hear like walking on those little pebbles or whatever. And I just remember telling my friend, I was like, "Hold on, I'll be right back," because he's not supposed to be there, And I'd have my friends come and visit sometimes, whatever, and they would be, freaked out, and stuff like that, and it was just something always happened. It was weird. So I go down and I walk to the door, check it's locked. And I said, somebody's up here. So I walked all the way around. My friend was walking around the top looking to see if there was anybody walking. We couldn't find anybody. So I said, all right, I'm going to go back down. I'm going to go through the penthouse. I'm going to go the top floor, and I'm going to work my way, and check. I'm going to go check. You stay up here. I'm out for about 15 minutes. I don't see anybody. Go to the next floor, another 15 minutes. I come back. It's been about half an hour. And my friend is nowhere to be found. And eventually I go to the outside of the building, and there's a little walkway. You can go all the way around the outside of the roof of the building. There's a big sign that goes all the way around it, and you can walk around the outside of it. As big as I am now, I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, it was probably about 6 foot wide. It wasn't like you were hugging, like you were gonna, but yeah, you're looking back now, I would never walk around up there. But at that time, yeah, especially when the wind would blow, you could die. But I was a different person then, and I would do whatever. And I go out there, and my friend is literally hiding underneath the sign, kind of hanging, and he's terrified of heights. And I said, what the heck are you doing? And he said, dude, I heard voices. I heard somebody talking. I thought maybe it was, one of the people, the boss or whatever. I don't want to get you in trouble. And I was like, so you're just going to, so you went and hid underneath the sign? And he was terrified. And then we were walking down to the stairwell. We were talking. We heard what sounded like high heels walking behind us. And I was like, what the heck? So I looked at my friend and I was like, the heck was that? And he's like, I don't know. And so when we stopped, you'd hear it go for a second, then it would stop. So I ran up 2-3 flights really fast. And I was a very fleet-footed young man. I was in shape. Didn't see anything. And my friend simultaneously ran down three floors. So then I walked down and I met him. Never did figure out what it was. So that's probably one I don't think I told on the show. But anyway, folks, weird stuff, man. Weird, wild stuff, I'm telling you. We did have another church. Aunt Esther is asking the question. Aunt Esther says, any more stories like Church of the Forgotten? Yes and no. There's nothing really quite like Church of the Forgotten, which is why it ended up on TV. But I will say this. There was another church that we worked at where me and Zane spent, it was a 2-man site, for a few nights there. They had 2 people, 2 guards. And he was on one side, I was on the other, and he got so freaked out that he actually came to my side where I was at and jumped in the car with me. And I said, look, dude, we got to have one person on that side. He goes, then you go to that side. And I said, okay, I will. So I told him, you sit over here. We gave him a chair, and I drove around the other side, and I sat there. Nothing happened. That happened a couple different times. Then one night I was working with Scorpion. Something happened. Same thing. He said he thought he heard voices. He went into the church to look. Where he was stationed was the church was part of your part of the protocol that you would go into the church and walk around. And it wasn't the Church of the Forgotten. It was a different church on the edge of town and off of a road called 360. Are you okay? Doesn't sound like it. Drink some water. You cough those demons out. You get them? Woman, be healed and behave. I'm trying to do a show over here. I'm trying very hard. Folks. The devil, Nellie has coughed the devil out of herself. Anyways, same thing happened to Scorpion, happened to Zane. They heard noises and they went inside. They walked around. They didn't see anything. I was there again with my brother. Same thing. Had another guard. He had a separate vehicle. I did. Once again, I didn't hear anything. I was on my side because I was doing the parking lot, predominantly the parking lot. I didn't see a shadow. I didn't hear nothing. Okay. And I had the windows open, and it was October. And we had that account for until the end of the year. Not much happened to me until one night. And I went there to use the bathroom, went by myself. And the clever conquistador says, rebuke that cough. Get rid of it. I go inside the church, and I go to use the bathroom. I wasn't planning on being there very long. Just had to go do it, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to get in and get out. Because I'd heard too many things about this church, and being inside of there wasn't something I was too interested in. My brother took pictures of that church, of the giant cross in there. And he's actually, is he downstairs or what? My brother's here at the studio tonight. I wish he was up here. He could, if he's in the chat or whatever, he can testify to this. He took a picture of it. It's like literally 20-foot tall, or maybe 25-foot tall crucifix. It was of Jesus in the crucifixion, basically. It was a Catholic church. And there were orbs swarming all over it. Nowhere else in that place were there orbs like that. It was just there. And then there was just one room where the light would come off and on. Now, I did see that. I saw that. But anyway, we had another guard that worked with us. For years, he worked downtown with us. He's a friend from the old days. And he was working on the other side of the property, and I was working on my side, doing the parking lot. And he would do the patrol inside the church, and I would do the patrol outside the parking lot. The only place where I ever got kind of spooked was, and it was kind of out in the middle of the country too. It's kind of in the country. The only place I ever got spooked was by the garden, where they had a little bench where you could go and sit. And one night I just decided to go and sit in the bench, and I thought I heard something creeping up behind me in the woods. So I got my butt back in the truck and drove away. Could have been a homeless person. This was back before there was like just homeless people everywhere. There's always been homeless people, but not like there is now. So I don't know what it was. I shone my light, didn't see anything. Got back in the truck, and I looked and waited, didn't see anything, nothing came out. And then I drove off. Went inside the church this one night to use the restroom. Was in there for a few, maybe not even 2 minutes. Started to walk out. And I heard what sounded like somebody wearing cheap house shoes, shuffling their feet. Very weird. Turned around really quickly. I looked, didn't see anything. Had a really powerful flashlight. Shined it, So I called my brother. And I said, hey, when you were here, and we had a lot of weird stuff happen, just all the time is weird stuff at these posts and different places. I mean, it was just, I think that I'm a beacon for this or something. I don't know. But sometimes it doesn't always affect me. It affects people around me, which is to me even more disturbing. And so anyway, he said, yeah, one night I was in there and I heard that same thing. And then one night, the other guard that worked with us, who I'm still friends with now to this day, we're still friends, he said that he walked in there and he heard the paper towel thing going like somebody was grabbing paper towels, just pulling them for no reason. And he thought, why is Wolf in here? Because we were the only people on the property. So he thought that it was me in there, like pulling paper towels obsessively. Here's what's weird. He walks in, the paper towels are not messed with. But hold on. He uses the bathroom, he gets out, he washes his hands. He looks to his right, and all the paper towels are pulled out and they're on the floor. Which he did not hear happen when he was in there using the bathroom. Now remember, when he first walked in the bathroom, before he walked in the bathroom, he heard like something was pulling paper towels. Right? He goes, uses the bathroom, comes out, washes his hands, and there are all these paper towels pulled out and piled up on the floor. It's weird, folks. It is really weird. It is a weird, creepy thing. The way this stuff works, I don't know how it works. I've just seen it in action. I can't tell you what it is. If I knew, I'd be the most interesting man in the world. I'd be able to tell you everything. I'd know everything. I don't. I just know 99% of it. That's it. I kid. I'm joking. It's probably like 92% or something like that. But anyway, I'm just that's just weird stuff that goes on. Weird things, So let's look at the questions here. Are you looking at the questions, dear? You wanna pick somebody?
They give you the most terrible, hopeless feeling and have paralyzed. This guy's experienced, Keith Hagler has experienced what you were just talking about.
He said, "Do I have any what?"
Any chance of that one extra vampire story or gargoyle story?
This is who?
That's asking for stories. Dana Rosso.
Dana Rosso, and she asked if I had any more vampire stories. Being really honest, I only have two. One was something that happened up in Utah. It was told to me by somebody who was up near Bryan Head, because I spent some time up there, and they told me a story about it. And then there was another one I had. The what? Yeah, where were you at? You didn't hear me talking about it? Being in space, folks, makes your brain just not work correctly. So that's what's happening to Nelly. Unfortunately, being on the moon, just kind of doing something. Now, what what happened with the vampire story? I only have 2 left that I consider to be absolutely vampires. I said this before. Somebody posed the question. They said, "Why do you see werewolves and not vampires?" I said, "People do see vampires. They see vampires as much as they see werewolves. We just compartmentalize them into different categories, like the Wendigo, a crawler, a gargoyle. You know what I mean? The rake, whatever. That's what I think these are. I mean, what else are they? I think that's what they are. I mean, I think they're vampiric type entities. People see these ghost type entities, zombie things with teeth, try to bite them, things like that. And they're like, oh, that's a ghost. It's a zombie. It's a demon. It's a rake, a crawler. It's a gargoyle. You could say those are all just different types of vampires, because they really are vampiric. Either a vampire that feeds on your blood, on your physical blood, or it's a vampire, in the spiritual sense. It feeds on your life force. Same thing. It's still attacking you. It's still feeding. It's still a parasitic entity. I hate parasites big time. Athena asks, anything from the Grand Canyon? Oh, yeah. There's some weird stuff, especially I had a story from a guy that was up in the Grand Canyon who had a harrowing night. He was camping out there in the Grand Canyon, and he believed that he was being stalked by 2 Native American spirits that were able to manifest as flesh and blood, but they would fade into the ether. Like he threw a rock toward one of them and it disappeared. Very weird. James is asking if I know about portals opening up in national parks. I don't know. Ask David Politis. I'm not being smart, James. You know that. I'm just saying David Politis is a guy that just always talks about that kind of stuff.
Did you hear about the alien handprints being found after abductions?
Alien handprints? No.
Zombie ghosts?
Yeah, we're about to do a show about zombies, so I can't. Angela, knock it off. Okay? Enough with the zombie ghosts already. Eat your zombie ghost cereal and like it. Apparently there was some kind of contest, or what was it? What would you classify it as? They did a ranking system for the best podcasts. I didn't even hit the top 10. I don't know who ranks them, dude. Flying witches? Like Hocus Pocus or something? Turned that sneeze into something weird, didn't I?
I can't eat zombie ghost cereal. It has gluten.
Yeah, when you're on that no gluten diet, the zombie ghost cereal's right out. That's why I'm fat. It's the gluten. No, I'm just eating garbage. That's what happens.
Are there any sightings of Bigfoot Dogman hybrids?
Bigfoot Dogman hybrids to me are googly. So yes. Somebody says I have to do the show 100% with a British accent. Which British accent would you like? Would you like one like this? Would you like that? Because I wouldn't. Or I can talk like this the whole show. There's different types of British accents. Which one would you like? Lord Worthington is a man of refinement. He talks like this. for king, for country. That's why you will join this war.
Do you believe the veil is thinner during Halloween?
Yes, I do. I absolutely believe the veil is thinner during Halloween. I'm trying to find this one story.
This guy said Lord Wellington instead of Worthington. Wellington's the other guy.
Well, Wellington, let me tell you where that came from. It came from an episode that Brenton Solomon had did, and I was joking with him about it, and I was like, dude, it was the guy, he asked the guy if he was scared. The guy was like, yes, I was scared. I was terrified. And like his accent changed or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was like a weird story. And so I joked about it. I laughed about it for a long time, and I called him Lord Wellington. But Wellington was the one that defeated Napoleon at Waterloo, the Duke of Wellington. Yeah. But so I just changed it to Worthington. I was like, Lord Worthington wouldn't have been scared. Lord Worthington's never scared. Although there was this one time in a brothel in Amsterdam. I was a young man, and I'm not going to get into that. Point being, never scared. Yes, I do. Angela says, Wolf, do you get many stories of black-eyed adults? Yes, actually, I do get a couple. I just got one yesterday from a woman who's going to come on our show maybe next week and talk. And she had the thing that happened, with a woman whose eyes were completely blacked. So yeah, it does happen. Any time slip stories? Yes. We're in the process now of putting together another alternate realities. There's just too many. I mean, I got one that's just crazy. I mean, mermaid stories. There again, I mean, like if you're talking about the mermaid in a traditional sense of like Splash, okay? What was it? Was it Splash with Daryl Hannah or whatever? Yeah, I don't have anything like that. Do I got creepy, disgusting looking humanoid creatures that swim in the ocean? Yeah, I got that. We don't know yet. We haven't decided. And all my my moderators are all gone. They're just they bailed on me. Yeah, the theologian episode we don't know because my moderators bailed. Ryan's gone, Scorp's gone. I don't see anybody in there. Tell Anthony. Anthony, hook her up with a mic. Pug wedgies, yeah, we got some of those.
Sorry, we'd
have to redo it. Next time though, when you come in, you can come in and you can. James Estrada's here. Yeah, Elastic Machinery's not though, and I think Ryan's gone too. Hellhound stories. Yep, absolutely.
There were stories of Christopher Columbus on mermaids.
I don't know about that. Every time I drop an episode about a subject, I get hit with 2 or 3 stories. You can better believe it. Or I'll have somebody that'll be new to the show and they'll go through and listen to the the old episodes, and then they'll be like, "Hey, I was listening to your show. I got a story to add." I get that all the time. But in 1 in 3 or 4 is actually going to be more than just a brief sighting. And sometimes, you'll have a person who will see 3 or 4 different things, and they're completely okay with you compartmentalizing it and doing a story, doing a show. Okay, for instance, Thunderbird stories. They'll be like, okay, you can tell my Thunderbird story, and then I'll tell that one on one show and a Goatman on another. But it's happening in the same area. So I like to, when people have that kind of stuff, I'd rather them just come on the show themselves and just talk about all the different experiences they've had. Because then it's not all separate things. It's all kind of it's all together. The Druids. Well, they were Druin. Let me tell you that. I know that. No, the Druids actually, yeah, it's interesting because to this day people see them. much like the night marchers in Hawaii, which, you know, I'm going to talk about at some point, you know, the Druids, people will see them walking around in the woods, you know, in England and Scotland. It's crazy. I mean, it's like, you know, and I'm not talking about people like modern people practicing these old, I'm talking about people seeing it like it was happening back then, you know. Anyways, guys, that's all we're going to do tonight, I guess. I mean, yeah, Flannel Man is actually something that people actually see, which is weird because I think it's connected to the Dogman phenomena too. And it could be a tulpa type thing.
I saw a phantom puma. It looked like a black smoke walking, and then it vanished in front of me here in the Central California.
Where's that at? Oh, yeah, it says JD Lopez says, I saw a phantom puma. It looked like black smoke walking and then just vanished in front of me here in California. All right, folks. So here we are. Take your vote. You want Jason Bland? And we've done a lot of Dogman stuff, so let's just pick between Jason Bland and Paul Wallace. And then you guys decide. Paul Wallace and me, we talk about ancient mythology and how it's actually, in my mind, it's real, what I believe. And, you know, we do a lot of Bible theology, the translations of the Bible. And then we have Jason Bland's story, which involves a shadow creature, which is really weird. It's really creepy. And then he's got some alien abduction stuff. But I mean, you know, and then he also saw a something that was like a banshee type thing. Yeah, everybody's asking for Paul Wallace, it looks like. Jason Ripley says, I vote for nobody. We'll have nobody on there. Angela, you're voting for whoever has a zombie ghost story? Okay. You'll be waiting. Everybody, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe. Tell your friends, your parents, your buddies, your whole family. Bring them all. Bring them to the show. It looks like it's probably going to be Paul Wallace. So, yeah, somebody's Keith King said the real Druids were nasty people, not the nice hippie guys you see today. I agree. Yeah, Zune, I assume that's how you say your name. Not even top 10, man. Jason Bland's show deservedly was in the top 10, as was Dark Waters. But I didn't even, it was the top 13, actually. There was a list, and I don't know who put this list together, but I didn't make the top 13. So what I'm going to do is put a panel of people together that are completely impartial. It's going to consist of me, Nelly, my brother, Scorpion, Anthony, and Tony. And I'll throw Lyle Blackburn, Ken Gerhard, Dave Weatherly, Barton Nunley, Nick Redfern, yeah, Jody Cook. I just said him. Nelly's throwing names out there. I know who. Linda Godfrey. Yeah, those people will decide who's got the best podcast. They're completely impartial. Okay? Don't be mad when I'm number one. It'll be like, first place, Coast to Coast, second place, PRT. I'm like, what? What? They're like, hey, Coast to Coast. They bring us on. They give us exposure. Here's the problem. Coast to Coast was ranked like number 3, which whoever did that poll or whatever, I don't know who you are. I don't care. Really, honestly, I don't even know who you are. But Coast to Coast, Jason's show should have been higher, first of all. Coast to Coast was number 3. It is the largest. I know Clyde Lewis should be on there, but Coast to Coast is the largest. It's the largest one in the entire country. It's the most listeners, the most everything. So how are you going to put Coast to Coast with George Norrie down like that far down?
Coast to Coast is not ad.
Well, there's a lot of ads, whatever. I mean, but still is obviously it is. There is no one near them even close. I mean, they are just hands down the largest, the biggest, I mean, most widely, listened to show. I used to listen to it, because I worked security and nothing else to do at 2 a.m. But, I got tired of monotony. So anyways, folks, I'm going to head out. I have to hit it early today, and I'm glad you showed up. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, participating, letting me do this Halloween overtime, and finishing these stories for you that I had for Halloween. I hope they scared you. I hope you got your scare on. I hope you was entertained. All the things you're not supposed to be doing. Hope it was like a nightclub up in here. Everyone, y'all be kind to each other and to yourselves. It says, who won the book? The book from the Friday show? Because on Halloween night, we were giving away the PRT lamps. Dear Healer says, good night, Josh. Great night again. I was so scared. It was so scary. So scary. And then when that dang Loch Ness Monster came up, he said, 350. All right. Good night, folks. Here comes my cat. Look. He's like playing my song. You want to say goodnight? A little louder.
Good night.
Yeah. All that money for astronaut training just for you to be real quiet. All right, guys. I'll see you.